There they are. They pop up on the screen. Good morning to both of you. It's great to have you. Let me just start with you then, Emma. Then looking at the Telegraph. This is a story that isn't related to Gary Lineker. Who knew that could even happen this weekend? Yeah. So let's look at this story then. So no coronation plays for Archie and Lilibet. So of course these are the children of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Just give us a bit more insight into how this has come about.
Yeah, so this is the ongoing coronation drama, which actually isn't the BBC and it isn't Netflix, and it is just the real drama. I think the royal family would prefer the focus to be a little bit more on the coronation and a little bit less on the Californian Duke and Duchess. So apparently, according to The Sun, their 3-year-old son Archie and their 1-year-old son Lilibet have not been, currently, as we know, have not been invited to the coronation. The Sussexes themselves have not yet confirmed their attendance. And so there's some thought that actually if they confirm, or once they confirm their attendance, that possibly the issue around whether the children should come or not would then be discussed. But this sort of stokes further tension, doesn't it? Because we're pretty clear that the Duke and the Prince and Princess of Wales's children will be in attendance. There's also reports across the papers that other royals are planning to give them the cold shoulder, that there won't be a balcony place for them, that all-important balcony place for them at the coronation. And, whether or not they decide to come, I think most people think they will come. Will Harry come on his own? Will he come with Meghan? Or will they not come at all? So there we go. It's all exciting. It's all happening before May the 6th. It's all very, very thrilling.
Absolutely, and then also there is suggestion that actually Harry may come because he's got that court appearance, hasn't he, with the papers a few days after that, so the possibility that he may arrive. But we shall wait and see. All very exciting. Coming to you then, Edward. So look, this is a story from The Observer, actually, about students' cost of living, a very difficult time for so many households. How is this affecting students?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I remember the times when I was a student and there was, it was a great time. There wasn't a cost of living crisis, but for students now, we don't often talk about it. And this is a study which has been conducted by Russell Group student unions, and they represent 24 of the quote-unquote elite higher education institutions, Oxbridge, UCL and Edinburgh. And they've said that students are finding it hard to buy food, travel costs. It's just generally hard for students living through this cost of living crisis. Now, you've got to think, at a time when I was studying, there were more jobs available. You could do supermarket part-time jobs, but most of those jobs now are automated, and there's for students, some of those jobs are not necessarily sort of universally available. And it just makes you think, especially if students living in London having to commute and paying for the bus, for the tube, or anywhere across the UK, it just makes you think that for students who don't necessarily have wealthy parents, how are they managing to survive? What are they doing? And it just makes you think, with the cost of tuition fees and stuff. It's a crucial time for students.
And Emma, let's move away from students. Let's talk about NHS strikes here, and just give us an update on the latest stage that we're at.
Yeah, I think this has kind of been lost in the whole Lineker BBC furore, but we've got major strikes which start again tomorrow. We've got a 3-day hospital walkout, 3-day walkout of junior doctors. And the warning, this is in the Times, the warning from Sir Stephen Powis, the NHS medical director, that this could severely impact on not only the cancellation of routine appointments, many procedures across the country, but it could have a knock-on effect which lasts well beyond the 72 hours of the actual walkout. As I say, there's still the COVID backlog. The NHS is already buckling under record waiting lists, over 7 million, well over 7 million people on those waiting lists. Huge delays for cancer care, things like that. So this could have a real knock-on effect that lasts weeks, even months, within the NHS. And also, the sheer scale and duration of these strikes, which is also could well carry on with nurses, ambulance drivers, all of that. But then we've got midweek, Wednesday and Thursday, we've got huge education strikes planned. We've got possible half of all schools closed on Wednesday and Thursdays. Parents won't know until probably Wednesday morning. So there's, massive disruption across the country, and many of these strike issues and union issues have not been resolved.
And coming to you then, Edward, I mean, looking at, this is a story in the Sun, actually, page 2 of the Sun newspaper there. So we're looking forward to the budget that's coming up, this week, actually.
On Wednesday.
So many people on prepayment meters who are having to pay more. I mean, this news will come as some relief for them, wouldn't it?
It's great news for people who are on prepayment meters. I've got some friends of mine who are on prepayment meters, and they've said, look, they feel as if they're having to pay more than most people. And there was a couple of stories or some reports when it came to people being forced into having prepayment meters. I mean, some horrid stories of people being bullied. I mean, clearly, this is a glimmer of hope to people who are on prepayment meters, who the energy firms are going to be stopped from charging extra fees, and this is going to be announced by the Chancellor on Wednesday. And he's also, I think this is the ploy to try and get people back into work. This is what the Chancellor said, where he's encouraging people back into work with a carrot and stick approach, and parents who are on universal credit will also see their childcare cash increase. But I think back to the story connected to the prepayment meters. I mean, for years, I think some people feel as if they've been fleeced, where they've had to pay additional costs. They've reached out to the providers and they've said to them, why am I paying this additional cost? What's the justification for this? And the providers have not given them any justification or any valid explanation to this. So I think for a lot of people who have suffered for years, and for some of those people who were bullied, which wasn't on, in order to take those prepayment meters, it will be a good week for them.
Absolutely, it certainly will be. And let's do a bit more royal talking, shall we? Emma, looking at the Sun, Queen didn't leave Andrew a penny. My goodness.
Yeah, I love a royal story. This is the disgraced Duke's inheritance woes. Our heart bleeds for him. Apparently, the disgraced Duke, Prince Andrew, has been complaining to friends that the Queen didn't leave him any of her estimated £650 million fortune. He needs to rebuild his life. He's got all these costs. He's had his public funding as a working royal, obviously, withdrawn. He's got the Royal Lodge, £30 million Royal Lodge, which he's struggling to maintain. So apparently all of this money, £650 million, was left to King Charles, who legally doesn't have to pay any tax on it. There are also some murmurings that Edward and Anne aren't very happy too. They're feeling a little bit resentful that they weren't left any of this cash from Mummy. So
well, it's all kicking off
in the royal family ahead of the coronation.
My goodness. Well, what do you do about that? I mean, that should be interesting, isn't it? I imagine they're not going to go hungry, though, or cold. I imagine they'll be all right with the heating. I mean,
they'll scrape together a few pennies.
Exactly.
Vanessa, you seem really intrigued about this. It's like
I am intrigued.
Your reaction is like it's like a soap opera to you.
I am intrigued. It's all kicking off. It's like, you can't stop but keep watching and keep reading. Even when you should be going to bed, it's like, okay, another article. It's been great to have both of you here with us, Emma Wolf and Edward Adu. Lovely to see you too. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you, Emma.
All right, see you soon.
Take care. See you later.
And don't go too far, because we'll see you after this very short break. See you soon.